Welcome to the latest video in our grading series here on Loop Theme Park Adventures. In this series we take a look at a number of different factors that can make or break your day out at a theme park and give each of them a grade from A+ to F-, followed by an overall grade at the end. In this video we're grading perhaps the best known seaside amusement park in the UK, Blackpool Pleasure Beach, which we visited on Saturday the 18th of July. Blackpool Pleasure Beach crams rides into every inch of its relatively small footprint, with many of the 10 roller coasters on site weaving through each other's structures. It's headlined by the tallest coaster in the UK, the Big One, an aerodynamics hypercoaster which stands at 213 feet high, which was briefly the tallest roller coaster in the world when it opened. As well as Blackpool's most recent addition, the Mack Rides multi-launch mega coaster Icon, which opened in 2018 and is in my opinion one of the best roller coasters currently operating in the UK. The Pleasure Beach leans heavily on its history, with 4 classic wooden coasters dating back to the 1920s and 30s. Big Dipper, Nickelodeon Streak, Grand National and Blue Flyer. These are complemented by Revolution, an aerodynamic shuttle loop which is great fun, Avalanche, a surprisingly forceful Mack Rides bobsled coaster, Steeplechase, another aerodynamics model where you ride horseback, and finally Infusion, a Vekoma SLC with a standard and uncomfortable layout. In addition to the coaster lineup, there are a number of dark rides on site, such as Valhalla, which is closed for the 2020 season for refurbishment, Wallace and Gromit, the Ghost Train and Alice in Wonderland. Nickelodeon Land provides the family fun with a whole host of attractions themed to various Nickelodeon shows and characters, such as SpongeBob SquarePants and Dora the Explorer, which includes many amusement park staples such as a log flume, disco and frog hopper, along with various other flat rides and water attractions. There are carousels and dodgems in the park, as well as thrilling flat rides such as Red Arrow's Skyforce and Ice Blast. Grading this an A-. Considering the size of the park, there is absolutely loads to do here, even to the point that you probably need more than one day to cover everything. Icon is the standout coaster for me, but this is a park that celebrates its rich history, which is demonstrated by the number of classic rides still in operation. There is plenty to do here for thrill seekers, families and young adventurers alike. Blackpool Pleasure Beach has been in operation since 1896, and many parts of its illustrious history are still on show today, with many of the attractions dating back almost a century. Despite their age, a number of classic rides have been brought up to date with rethemes and new colour schemes, and the older wooden coasters all have padded seating to prevent you from getting too beaten up, although Grand National certainly gives it a good try. This place manages to balance its heritage with a requirement to keep up to date, as seen by the large-scale investment of Icon in 2018 and the retheme of Beaver Creek to Nickelodeon Land in 2011. Speaking of which, as the park's primary family section, Nickelodeon Land further exemplifies Blackpool's commitment to paying homage to their past with Nickelodeon Streak and Blue Flyer, while also providing a large number of bright and colourful flat rides. From the seafront, the Pleasure Beach skyline is really impressive, with the Big One wrapping around the front and side of the park. Once inside, there is a hustle and bustle which creates a nice atmosphere, although some sections of the park can get quite crowded. Being an amusement park, you're far more likely to hear pop music soundtracking your visits, although Icon has its own bespoke soundtrack, as does the Ghost Train and Alice in Wonderland, which bizarrely features music from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. This gets a B-. It's very much what you would expect from a seaside amusement park, with rides on top of you wherever you look and a nice buzz to the place. But there is room for improvement in certain areas if the owners have a desire to make it a more immersive all-round experience. A bit of a mixed bag in terms of operations. From a slow start, it gradually became a very busy day on park, and by lunchtime all major attractions had lengthy queues. However, there is no visibility of wait times on park, nor is there a mobile app you can download, so there is an element of guesswork as to what the most efficient options are to cram in the maximum ride count. You can log into the Pleasure Beach website to view ride wait times, but we found this to be fairly unreliable. Social distancing markers are visible in all queue lines, and numerous sections of the park have one-way systems in place in an attempt to keep guests apart. But in many areas and queue lines this was being ignored by attendees, and we didn't see this challenge, so that was a little frustrating. Hand sanitizer stations were available at the entrances to rides and in some queue lines, as well as at the entry to all food outlets and bathroom facilities. On entry to the park, you are required to walk through metal detectors, which provides a sense of guest safety, with security keeping a visible but low-key presence throughout the park. All staff members we encountered were friendly and polite, engaging with park guests where required without going overboard. Grading this a C+. Some long queues without any clear wait times was a bit frustrating, and while the management had put the measures in place to keep the park COVID safe, many of these were being ignored by guests. That said, staff were all polite and happy, and it felt like they were trying their hardest in these difficult times. Food and drink options were fairly limited, as has been the case with many of the parks we've visited this summer. The website offers contactless ordering at the Big Pizza Kitchen and The Place, and there are other options such as Burger King, Southern Fried Chicken, gourmet fries, a bakery and numerous snack bars and ice cream stalls on site as well. There is also the White Tower restaurant at the top of the casino if you prefer a more lavish sit-down meal. We considered Burger King, but that had huge queues and was not allowing indoor seating when we visited, and as the rain was starting to drizzle, we ideally wanted to sit somewhere under cover. So we chose to eat at the Big Pizza Kitchen, and the ordering process, although appearing simple on the surface, did seem to be confusing a few people. Essentially, you place a contactless order through the website, wait to be called and then collect your food. However, with there being a separate bar and food collection area, some guests were queuing randomly at one or the other, regardless of if their order was ready or not. Our food wasn't fantastic in all honesty, with the pizzas being more like thick floppy bread with toppings on, although at £7.50 per pizza the price wasn't too bad. The Pleasure Beach website doesn't actually list all the various food options, so you have to access the park map to see what's available and where they're located. This gets a C+, a fairly good selection on offer, and we probably could have chosen better, but with rain in the air, options with undercover seating were quite limited. We booked a few weeks in advance and paid £25 each for single day tickets, which is fantastic value considering the number of attractions available and the opening times of 10 AM to 7 PM on a day of our visit. I have noticed that the website only seems to be offering peak day tickets until the end of the season now though, which are priced at £32 each, often for shorter operating hours of 11 AM until 5 PM. So timing is key, although even at this price point it's still very competitive compared to parks of similar ride offerings. Fast passes were not available due to the limited capacity, and food across the park seemed quite reasonably priced compared to many of the other places we visited this year. On-ride photos can be purchased on a number of roller coasters priced at £10 each, as well as multi-photo options being available as well, and merchandise stores were located throughout the park and by selected high-profile attractions, selling the usual array of clothing, mugs, key rings, soft toys and resins, along with the most desirable merch offering of 2020, the face mask. Blackpool's merchandise prices were slightly more than some other parks, but certainly not unreasonable, and they had some end-of-line items on special offer. Car parking on site is quite expensive, however if you search online beforehand you can get some great deals only a short walk from the Pleasure Beach. We parked about 50 yards up the road by the casino and only paid around £4 for the whole day. This gets an A-, £25 for 9 hours at the park with such a huge offering of rides and attractions is possibly the best value theme park day out in the UK, although like I said, choosing the right day and booking in advance is key for getting the most bang for your buck. Food prices were reasonable and most other price points are broadly in line with what you would expect at other UK parks. Overall grade is a B+. Blackpool Pleasure Beach is one of the top tourist attractions in the UK for a reason, and while it's a hell of a trek from Essex where we're based, it's well worth the journey for the number of attractions on offer, particularly Icon, which is one of my favourite coasters in the country. The numerous heritage rides on site provide a great insight into the history of the UK amusement park industry, and there is loads to do for families and children too. Of all the parks we visited this year, Blackpool Pleasure Beach is probably the one I'm most keen to revisit sooner rather than later. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and get involved in the discussion in the comments below. If you'd like to follow our theme park adventures, then subscribe to the channel and enable notifications. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/looptpa and on Instagram @looptpa.